Hello and welcome. Welcome if you're joining us on Instagram Live. Yes, and I will have Rosemerry Trommer.
Hey,
Hello. Hi, Rosemerry.
hi, Christy. Nice to see you.
Yay, we got online.
I know it feels already like a big win.
Yeah, so I want to shout out to anybody who's here with us live. My name is Sullivan, and I am here on Kripalu's Instagram Live to introduce Rosemerry Trommer, who is a new presenter of ours, and we've met online through your programs. And you want to say hello and tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I am a poet. I live in Southwest Colorado, and I was lucky enough to do a program with Kripalu online this last spring. It was an evening program, 4 weeks, and that was a lot of fun. And I'm going to be working at Kripalu this November in person, which I'm very excited about. And we can talk more about that. But I suppose just to set up for that, the program itself is about meeting grief. And I'll just say that I, like everyone, have had a chance to meet some big losses, and that writing poetry has been an enormous help for me as I show up for situations I'd really rather not show up for. So I'm really grateful for poetry as a way to show up in the world and to help us meet grief.
Thank you for that intro. And yeah, it's quite a time right now where many people are going through very different things. And you just mentioned a little bit. Tell us maybe a little bit more about your story, how you got involved with this work. You said, how it's helping you, but tell us a little bit how you got involved.
Well, with writing poems, I started writing poems as a little girl. That's always been something that's been really fun for me. Uh, when I was in fourth grade, I was writing kind of Shel Silverstein kind of things that were, rhyming and silly, but they had dark underbellies. And then I continued to write poems, began a daily practice about 19 years ago, writing a poem every single day. So I already had this practice in place of showing up and wondering what's here. So that 4 years ago, when my son chose to take his life, I already had this practice of showing up in place. So in this way, a short time after he died, I took a time off of writing the daily poems, but then I came back in and began writing again and realized just what an incredible tool poetry can be for helping us show up. And I began writing lots of poems about meeting grief and eventually became the poet laureate for a glorious organization called Evermore. They do a lot of work with bereavement and especially around getting uh, legislation passed for people who need to take time off after a death, and so they work a lot with that. Well, that was when I began doing real sincere work around helping people use writing as a tool to meet grief. And now I work not only with Evermore, but I also do a lot of work right here in my local community in Southwest Colorado, working with the grief organizations here. And well, and now I've worked with quite a few all over the country. So I'm really grateful for the chance to meet other people whose hearts have been broken open and show up together. I really I like, I'm grateful to be able to help create a safe space for us to explore some really difficult emotions and see how, as one of my heroes, Gregory Orr, he says, not to make loss beautiful, but to make loss the place where beauty starts, where the heart understands for the first time the nature of its journey. And I feel like poetry can be a really important gift for us as we wonder not how to make loss beautiful, but how do we make sense of it? How can loss be the place where beauty starts?
Mm, that was a beautiful quote. Really beautiful. I know from the experience that I had with you online through your online program, um, it was just wonderful to hear how you helped guide people who attended to do some beautiful writing and to create beauty, whether it was from loss or grief or just difficulties that they're having right now. Can you talk a little bit about your program in November, what that's going to look like?
Yeah, so that program is called, I'm going to look at the title just to make sure I get it right. Grief as a Sacred Invitation. And then I think the title under that is A Poetry Experience. I guess I want to be really clear what it is not. It isn't going to fix anything. It isn't therapy. It isn't, it, it isn't, I mean, I think but, and what it will do. I guess I just want to honor that if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for the quick fix, if you're looking for crisis care, it isn't that. It isn't that. But what it is an opportunity to meet with other people in what's going to be a very safe space. I am working also with an assistant teacher, Charlotte Newsel, who's going to be helping bring people into their bodies more. But when we're in our circles together, we'll be reading poems about grief and talking about them. Uh, just having conversations about what do you notice about the poem, but really, what do you notice about yourself and what's coming up, and how does this help you show up? We'll do writing of our own or not. I do want to say that even though it's called a poetry experience, it would be possible for someone to come and spend the whole, 3.5 days we're together without writing a single word. And that would be fine too, right? Really, what it is an opportunity to show up and meet the self. And if poems happen, that's fine. But if they do, they're a byproduct. This isn't the point of this is not to come up with, we're not going to write anything good, right? Nobody's going to show up and write masterpieces. We're going to show up and use writing as a tool to really meet what is here as a way of exploring the world. There'll be opportunities for sharing poems or not, right? I just want to make sure that everybody knows that no matter how they show up, sometimes, especially when we're writing about difficult things, it is way too dangerous to share. So no one will have to do any sharing. But what thrills me about writing about grief and what we will be able to do is we're going to explore it in at least two ways. One is writing as a way to connect with the person who's here, who we've lost. And the other is to write about our experience of grief itself. And I would even say, Christy, that the third thing would be to really connect to the life that is here now too. So both honoring the ache, the heartache, and also opening up to the beauty that's still available, even perhaps more beautiful because of the loss. What a terrible paradox that no one wants to live into. But really exploring these themes of grief and beauty and how we can meet them both at the very same time, and how poetry is a really stunning vessel for helping us reach toward both ends of this
Mm,
spectrum of what it is to be alive.
mm. Thank you for clarifying that, there's many different people who could come to this that you don't have to be writing poetry, but listening to the poetry of others and your poetry. I know you have beautiful words that you've written. Um, so let me ask you about your writing. What has influenced you? What teachers or books or sources of inspiration have you had to influence your writing?
Oh, okay. Well, at first I was thinking, who's influenced me around grief? Maybe I'll start with that and then I'll go into writing. Just because there are two teachers that have been profound for me. The first one I want to mention is my spiritual teacher, Joy Sharp, who's been my spiritual teacher for, 15, 16, 17 years, a long time. And just how grateful I am to have a spiritual teacher to help. Like I say, it's like she planted all those teachings in me that I understood with my head. But when my heart broke completely open, it's like all those teachings went in and I understood them like with every cell of my being. So I would say Joy Sharp as a teacher. She leads satsang. And then I was lucky enough to have a chance to speak fairly early on after Finn died. My son Finn died. I had a chance to talk with Mirabai Starr, who met me online, and I remember most astonishingly, Christy, just how generous she was with receiving whatever was there for me, right? She did not try to fix me. She didn't offer advice. She didn't tell me all about her own story, right? She really allowed me to show up as I was. I really feel like that's part of what's possible with this program that we're doing together at Kripalu is offering that kind of a space for people to be witnessed um, with their experience
Mm,
and listen to other people's experiences too, but the chance to really deeply feel into our own experience and be witnessed in that space.
mm,
Of course, as I said, that's optional. Nobody has to share, but if they choose
mm,
to, that's available to them. As for writing, oh my goodness. Well, probably the poet who saved my life is Rainer Maria Rilke and his poems. He's a Austrian poet, mystic poet, who I I love how I don't always understand his poems and they continue to open in me again and again. I love how the first few times I read his poems, I'm like, I don't get it. And then as I continue to read them and live into them, I'm kind of astonished by what they have to offer me. So, certainly his work and another poet who I deeply love right now. I mean, the list is so long,
mm.
Christy. Right. But another one I'll say maybe is Pablo Neruda, who is a Chilean poet and deeply, deeply sensual, so very in the body. And this is something else, I suppose, that we'll be doing with our writing at Kripalu is I'll be really inviting people to write from their bodies and understand just how essential our bodies are in showing up for grief and also in finding a way to move through it. Well, I don't even know if I want to say move through, to meet grief in the most honest way we can.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of what you were just talking about too is the piece that, we find at Kripalu, which is connection through community, connection to others who might have experienced similar, connection to other people's experiences who might be different, connection to amazing teachers. So now that we talked a little bit about your program and as I said earlier, that you've been online, but now you're going to be in person, in real, I call it IRL in real life. Tell us what you're excited about to be teaching at Kripalu, so that if new teachers are also coming to campus, what do you see as your perspective of what's exciting you about Kripalu?
Right. Well, first of all, I've heard how beautiful it is, so I can't wait to experience that for myself. I also am really looking forward to taking yoga classes in between, and I do have this sense that for me personally, just let's face it, it will be intense these times together. When we're in session and we're reading and writing and sharing and talking. And I know for a fact that they have allotted um, one Kleenex box per three people, right? Like
Yeah,
they know that we're gonna be
yeah,
in it.
yeah.
And the chance then to go completely out of the head and into the body through a yoga class, I think, to be able to walk around the campus and just be outside. We'll definitely be going outside too, if weather, I suppose, permitting, but just taking advantage of this space as we're teaching. The other thing, Christy, of course, is just being in person,
Hmm.
just to be able to be, like you say, in real life with another person. I mean, thank you, screens. Thank you for being able to do this Instagram live right now. But there's nothing like sitting with another person and just holding the space, feeling the energy of that person and what's possible when we do sit together in a circle and
Hmm.
really listen to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yes, you will want to be outside even if the weather is not good. It's just amazing. I'm here now, and it's just beautiful with the foliage. But of course, in another month, it'll still be beautiful with the mountains around, the water you can see. You didn't mention food. Just know you will be looking forward to amazing food,
Awesome.
right?
I cannot wait to have someone else be cooking for me. Believe
Yeah,
me, that'd be really a treat just to show up and,
yeah,
and receive food. I'm super down for
yeah.
that.
I think I have one more question for you. Can you share something, a tip or a tool that can be easily integrated into daily life for someone who's watching this, who may or may not be coming to the retreat?
Yeah. This is something that was really helpful for me. When I did start writing again after Finn died, I started with just kind of filling in this blank. Today, grief is. And then I just, now for me, you can fill it in any way. You could fill it in with an adjective, today grief is lonely, or today grief is, you know, prickly. But what was most profound for me was to fill it in with a metaphor. And I could choose truly anything, right? Today, grief is a brush. Today, grief is a wall. Today, grief is a door. Today, grief is milk. I wouldn't have to know why. In fact, I didn't know why. But each time I sat down, that allowed me to meet grief with wonder. Okay, well, what does a comb have to teach me about grief? How is it possible that there's something there? What was amazing to me is that every time I sit down and do this, the way the mind works in metaphor, something always shows up. And it allowed me to meet grief in a fresh way again and again and again and again, and to continue to put myself in service to it, right? To continue to learn from it. What do you have to teach me today? It also allowed me to see how much it changed all the time. I think sometimes it can just feel like this one giant weight of oppressive grief. But I was able to notice, oh, today grief is a shadow. There was no weight to it at all. Today grief is wine. How is it something that I even like? Well, just to notice how differently it can show up and how useful just having that one little sentence stem, and you could do it in less than 5 minutes every day. Today grief is, and be curious, just let yourself be curious every day how it changes.
Thank you for that simple tool, that prompt. And you are full of prompts. That's what I think folks can look forward to when they come to your program, these wonderful prompts and ways that you create or draw out the poetry from within somebody. So we're so excited to have you. Anything else before we depart? Anything else? And again, we're just so grateful that you're coming and excited to have you.
Thanks, Christy. And I'm excited to be there too. I think if there's any spots left, I think there's only like two. So it could be you. I am grateful that there are people showing up to be together in this, to realize grief can feel so isolating. And I'm so grateful that we have a chance to come together as these kind of broken open hearts and see
And
how
healing.
how do we feel together? How do we do this together? Because I can't imagine doing it alone.
Hmm. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
We'll see you soon. I hope to see you cross paths in real life here too. Take care. Bye.